Uh, Good evening, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining this introduction session. Uh, my name is Salahuddin, and I will be the host for today's evening. I'm joined today with Sammy, who is also going to be hosting the session tonight. Sammy, would you just like to say a quick hello? All right, I think I know Sam is here somewhere, so we will give him a chance to introduce himself in just a minute. Very briefly about me, my name is Salahuddin. What we are intending to do today is have the introduction session. However, this introduction session is a feeder into the PMP training program. We also have our full, PMP exam preparation training program. And the ideas for today's session is for you to understand what this new exam is about, uh, everything about the exam, what is it required on your behalf from now until you go for your exam. How do you prepare? Is there an application form you need to fill? Who do you need to be in touch with? How do you get your application approved? I'm sure that so many questions that you have in your mind, and the idea for today's session is to be able to answer all those questions as we go along. Just before I continue, just a couple of things which I already mentioned to those of you who are here. Now I can thank Gilbert and Ayub for having your videos turned on. So I'm going to be slightly less crazy by the end of the session. And also Fahim. Okay, Fahim and Atul, thank you guys. It helps me if you turn on your videos. Otherwise, after some time, like I said, I don't want to be looking like somebody talking to a blank screen, so at least I have some guys, some of you turning your videos on. I may not be able to actively monitor the chat window, so the best way for you to get my attention if you have a question, instead of posting it in the chat, which certainly you can do, but I will just encourage you to unmute yourself, turn on your unmute yourself and just verbally ask your question. That will be the quickest way for you to get my attention so that I can answer your questions immediately. You are encouraged to ask your questions throughout the session. We're not going to separate the the introduction session, and we will certainly have towards the end, a dedicated question and answer session towards the end. But even before that, as we are going through today's session, whenever you have any question popping up in your mind, I will just encourage you to unmute yourself, ask me your questions, and I can answer your question on the spot. So once again, I would like to request and remind all of you to turn on your videos. Consider that you're on a face-to-face session, so this is almost like a live session. So my request to all of you, those of you who have turned on your videos, a big thank you, and those who are planning to do that soon, thank you in advance. Very briefly, I guess, since I'm not going to start the training session today, I'll just very briefly mention about who I am. I have now, about 20 plus years experience, 22 years to be, give or take 22 years of experience. I've had a chance to do quite a few things in those 22 years. I was an engineer at some point. At some point, I was a customer engineer. At some point, I was a product manager. I've done project management. Right now, I'm part of Watershed. I founded Watershed around 4 years ago. So I'm the founding member of the organization. I'm also one of the trainers with Watershed. Speaking of which, if you notice on the top left-hand side of your screen, you see a badge. This badge is issued from PMI. Because I was able to complete all of the requirements for the authorized training, authorized trainer. So Watershed is also authorized training partner with PMI. All of these I will explain in just a few minutes. For now, just for your information, I am, as you can see from my badge on the top left-hand side, I am an authorized instructor for PMI, which means I can be your I can conduct the classes, and the training that you will complete with me will be accepted by PMI. PMI is becoming very particular about who's going to be the trainer for their sessions. They're taking PMP very seriously. there are a lot of governance model that they put around PMP. And one of that aspects of the governance model is that all the trainers should be approved, handpicked by, not handpicked, but approved by PMI. And I'm one of them. So that's probably something that you certainly would want to know. What you see on the screen is my email address. Very soon, Sammy will be sharing his contact information in the chat window, so you can reach out to us. I believe that you have a way to reach out to us. This is our website, WatershedPM.com. The first number is Sammy's number. The second number is mine. Both of these two email addresses, either info@watershedpm.com or b2c@watershedpm.com. Incidentally, both of them will come to both me and Sammy, who's the program coordinator. So you have more than one way to reach out to us. For now, as long as you can manage to reach to our website, then you can manage to reach to us. Is there anybody here? Why don't I do this one small thing? You don't worry, my screen is already cluttered. No, I can copy. Hang on, just bear with me. I'm just going to copy our website. I think that's the most important thing. I'm just going to copy that in the chat window. For now, Sammy will be happy to do more of this.
Mr. Saad, don't worry about it. I'll share it soon.
Oh, you're here. Okay, all right. Now that I know you're here, I will not worry about that anymore. Okay. So this is how you can reach out to us. The agenda for today, like I said, is basically it's more like an extended Q&A session. I have some slides that I will show you. These slides have been, we have updated these slides over time. And just last week, there was new information released by PMI, and we have already reflected that in the slides. And the rough agenda for today basically is to answer all your questions. That's the rough agenda. And along the way, we want to understand better about PMP and exam preparation. So from that point of view, you certainly would want to understand what is the basis of your PMP exam, how to prepare for the exam, what books to read. Can I just walk into the exam center and take my exam? The answer to that, by the way, is no. You have to do a few things before you go to the exam center. So that's the whole idea today. You really need to understand the whole journey. And we will try to explain to you the whole journey, and along the way, answer all the questions that you have. And then we will also discuss, there are some fees involved in getting PMP certified. There are some books that you can read. From the book, you need to understand what areas that you need to, to prepare. How do you even prepare for the exam? What is the format of the new exam? Some of you might have heard that the exam has changed from 2nd of January. What you heard is right, but because you now know that the exam has changed, what is part of the new exam? I'm sure you have all these questions. So this is the whole idea for today's session. And so let me start by rolling off. Before I proceed, any quick questions, anybody? Anything I can answer right away? All right. So
just so good from me. Good to go. Ready to go. Thank you. I just joined.
Thank you, Gunnar. You didn't miss much. So let's then continue. Remember, guys, don't hesitate to ask your questions along the way. Whenever you have a question popping up in your mind, just unmute yourself and ask. The best way to conduct today's session, more live, more interactive. And very briefly about Watershed Management Consulting. This is another batch that we have as Watershed. The previous batch was issued to me as an instructor. We also have a batch issued to us from PMI. As you can see, this batch is telling you that Watershed Management Consulting is an authorized training partner. So we are one of the authorized training centers who can conduct PMP training. And this is what the batch is saying to you. In addition to that, we are also an ILM approved center. So in addition to providing PMP and project management trainings, we also provide leadership training. So ILM is an acronym for Institute of Leadership Management. So we have quite a few courses that we're planning to roll off. In fact, very soon we are launching our ILM level 3 certificate in leadership and management. So if you're interested in that, please get in touch with Sammy. I just noticed that Sammy has put his contact information in the group chat. and he's put his email address and also the company website. So if you'd like to, make sure that you at least have the website address open in your browser, so that way next time when you're in, you know how to get to us. This is who we are in summary. We do training, we provide some consulting services. We are also into consultation, and resource augmentation. So some organizations, they look for project related resources, either project related or specialist roles, for example risk managers or process engineers. So we also do resource augmentation and resource outsourcing. And I also mentioned to you just a minute about the leadership coaching that we have. Usually our project management courses are the best sellers, but we also have leadership training. And among the project management course that we have, one of the course that we have is for corporates, and that is more like a workshop style of project management, where we do theory and then we do hands-on workshop, where we will give a project for the team to develop the project plan, to develop the, for example, starting with the project charter, identifying the stakeholders. So we have like a case study that we roll out, and we transform that into a project management plan. And this is done hands-on approach. And this is usually one of the best sellers that we have for our corporate clients. This is the whole portfolio that we have at Watershed. And I guess I'll just move on, having shown you the slide. Starting to deep dive now about PMP. Now, the reason, the fact that you're already in this session goes to say that you really understand, at least, and you have a sense of what value PMP brings to you, and that's why you're here. And this is what this slide is trying to capture. There are a lot of statistics, there are a lot of studies that are issued by PMI. Some of them are very clear to indicate the benefit of PMP, both to your career, to having a better salary, to being able to apply best practices to your daily work. So these are among the others, some of the benefits and the advantages of why you should consider yourself to be PMP certified. So having said that, I'm just going to move on to the next slide. I guess I don't have to sell PMP to you. Your presence here is already an indication that you have some understanding and some appreciation of what PMP can bring to you. And I'm imagining that's the reason why we are all here. Very briefly about PMI. Are you guys familiar with PMI, Project Management Institute? Yes. So PMI. Yeah. Yes, PMI is the organization that owns PMP certification. So they are the ones who will conduct your exam, and they are the ones who actually issue to you your PMP certificate. They got established a long time ago, but PMI came into existence maybe somewhere in 70s, roughly late 60s, early 70s, and don't you think projects have been going on even before PMI got established? Can you think of some successful projects from the past, even before PMI got established?
Yeah, Olympiad.
Yeah, Olympiad. Establishing of Olympics. Olympiad, right? Is that what you're talking about? The Olympics, for example. Each Olympics, since the time it got started. Right? Can you think of more examples of what are projects in the past? Yes, go ahead, Gilbert. Just speak.
Pyramids.
Exactly. So pyramids, I'm assuming pyramids are slightly older than Olympics. So I don't know. Olympics somewhere started in Rome, but before that, you have pyramids, right? And speaking of Rome, Rome is known for its ancient architecture. Because the Roman Empire. You have the you have the Palladium, the huge stadiums and so many structures. Even prior to that, in the, I don't know which civilization, but Egyptian civilization, to summarize. My layman, I think it's Byzantine. I don't know, whatever. I forgot my history, my history. But each pyramid was a project, correct?
Yes.
There was no PMP, but each pyramid was a project, correct? And
Yes.
What aspects of project management can you think of that certainly are clearly visible in the projects of pyramids? Do you think there was timeline around them? You know, maybe they were not too good
No.
with it, but maybe they had some rough timelines. You know, maybe they were delaying, but or at least they were temporary, meaning that there was a certain day that they started the work and there was a certain date that they finished the work. Maybe they were late
Yes.
and all that, but you know, so that is a characteristic of today's projects, you know, our contemporary modern projects. Don't you think that you needed, what else can you think of that is similar between what was done as a project during pyramids and what is being done as projects in today's time? So one is timelines. What else can you think?
Uniqueness.
Manpower and resources.
Uniqueness is another thing. Each pyramid is unique. You know, you have a different, you know, pyramid 1, pyramid 2, pyramid 3, unique pyramids. Yeah, I had one more input around that. What else? There are many more. There are many more. Actually,
Procurement.
there was clearly procurement. They needed stones, whatever else they needed, they got it. That's procurement.
Yes.
By the way, you know that, you know, even now they're not sure how they made the pyramid the airtight, you know, because you know whatever material they used between the stones, they're still trying to figure out how they composed all of that material, and they're still trying to figure out how they lifted the stones. That's another story for another discussion. What else? So there was a timeline. So we said there is procurement. What else?
Planning.
Certainly they should be planning, right? They start somewhere in the bottom. They had to make chambers inside, and you know how the pyramids are, right? They have chambers inside and all that. They have to have different access entrances. So planning was done. What else? What else can you compare between pyramids and modern projects? What else?
Resources.
Certainly resources. You needed material, you needed people, you need certain kind of tools. Resources, absolutely, including people. What else?
Then obviously quality.
Quality, certainly, you know, each pyramid or pyramid has, I think, 62 or 63 degrees of a slope, and they maintain that throughout the whole pyramid, right? On all the 4 sides. That's quality management.
Money cost.
Each stone had to be cut at a exact same slope at different places. Some stones on the outside, and some stones are halfway cut. Some stones are 1/4 of what they are, correct, depending on where they're positioned. All of that had to be done right, and doing things right is quality management. So exactly this. And what is that after quality management?
Some risk, communications.
Exactly, there were risks. Now, there were risks. Now, we will not worry about how they manage the risks, like people falling off and things like that. But there were risks, you know, risks from the time, from the, you know, let's not worry about, you know, so there were risks. So we'll not get into the details of that. So
About
that's
leadership as well.
Yeah, say that again, Atul.
Leadership.
Yes, there, you know, so I will translate leadership to stakeholders. Right? So there were stakeholders even for pyramids, starting with the pharaoh to all the way to down to people who are working on the site. They're all stakeholders, like in the modern projects. Starting from the
Yes.
sponsor, everybody is working on a project is a stakeholder. Everybody is a stakeholder. So there were stakeholders in pyramids also. You know, okay, now I'm getting a chance to glance on the chat. Like I told you guys, I'm not able to glance the chat as frequently. So yes, there's cost management, there's certain kind of reporting, there is site analysis and coordination. These are all the characteristics of what you can compare between pyramids and modern projects. So now what we are talking about are examples of projects which are successful. Do you think every project is successful?
No.
No. What can be?
No.
Yes, I agreed. What can be a characteristic of project as an example, because there's so many examples, what can be the characteristic or behavior or reflections in a project to say that this is not successful? One simple example, it's super delayed. That's a characteristic of a project not successful or not 100% successful. What else can be the characteristic based on which you can say the project
Over
is
budget.
over budget? What good? So we have a let's roll it. What else?
Scope, not scope.
Quality.
Not getting fulfilled, scope not getting delivered, things missing in the scope. What you get the idea. So these are all the things that we can now, from our experience, start to identify that can go wrong in a project. And as you can imagine, everything has to be done right for the project to be successful. Actually, many things and pretty much everything has to be done right to say that this is 100% successful project. And one or two things going wrong can severely affect the project. And this is what PMI wanted to understand. What is it that's required so that the projects are successful? And what all the common mistakes that can be avoided in a project? And this is what PMI wanted to understand. PMI wanted to define, and they started doing their study somewhere in 70s, and they issued their first book in 1996. PM book version 1 was issued in 1996, and since then they have been evolving PM book as they understand things better. And also keep in mind, even project management is evolving, and nowadays many projects are following more and more agile practices. So that's why your new exam is going to be a blend of both the conventional project management, which is called as waterfall project management, or some of you may call it as plan-driven project management. This is the conventional project management. This is how you do, for example, many of the construction projects. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have adaptive projects, which are very common to IT and especially software related projects. Agile is one example of that. So on one side of the spectrum, you have plan-driven construction. Other side of the spectrum, you have agile, more suited for software-related projects. So later on, we'll compare them. The reason I mentioned that is about PM book. So now you have version 7 of PM book that will be released very soon. Your exam has already changed to reflect agile as half of your exam. So this is, I'm telling you different snippets of some of the slides that are coming up. But I think the key takeaway from this slide is that PM book is a collection of best practices that PMI put together, and your exam is going to be based on that. It's not from that, there's a difference. So just knowing PM book is not going to be good enough to pass the exam. We'll discuss all of this later. Let me not complicate things. We want to focus on PM book. Right now, we are in version 6 of PM book. Version 7 is going to be released very soon, in just a matter of a couple of months, hopefully. So this is the takeaway from this slide, which is PMI history. And along the way, we got a chance to bring in, aspects of project. We discussed, things that are characteristic of any modern day project. We compared that to the pyramids. And then we also very quickly discussed all the things that can derail a project. Now, your exam is going to be, of course, your exam is owned by PMI. The logistics of your exam is managed by Pearson VUE. So Pearson VUE is the organization that will, that will manage your exam, and this is their website. This is the organization. The good thing is that even if you walk into a training center to take your exam, or if you choose to do your exam from home, online exam, it's still Pearson VUE who's responsible for the logistics of your exam. And it might be, I don't know if you're not aware, now you can conveniently take your PMP exam from your home. Okay, so you have the option now to take your exam from your home. So this is about Pearson VUE. So their online exam, they call it as OnVUE. This is the and basically for now you just need to take a note of this link. We'll send you the slides soon. But I think the takeaway from these couple of slides for you to know is that you can take your exam from home. And now PMI And now you know Pearson VUE. And now you know that Pearson VUE can, is the same organization, whether you're taking the exam from home or whether you go to the exam center to take the exam. Just for your information, as of today, in most part of the world, there are no exam centers as of today, most part of the world, including Middle East. And most of you will find it convenient to take the exam from home. And this is the page on that. Before I move on into the next segment, which is the eligibility, any questions about anything that we are discussing so far? All good? So once again, I will encourage you to ask your questions whenever you have your questions. And another reminder to turn on your videos. If you can turn on your videos, that'll be great. Right now, I still have Gilbert has been on all the time, and Atul is also now supporting Gilbert to have his video turned on. So guys, just turn on, if you can, just turn on your videos. That helps me a lot. Okay.
I have my camera on, Mr. Salah.
Thank you, Gunya. I appreciate this. Thank you, Gunya. All right, so let's move on to the next segment, which is about eligibility criteria. The way that I want to start presenting this slide is to tell you that your eligibility for the exam is only based on your engagement with the project. So I'm using the word engagement with projects. So you don't have to be a project manager. You don't have to be a site engineer to be eligible for the exam. So I'm using the word engagement. If you are somehow engaged with projects, depending on what your education is, you have to show in your PMP application. There's an application that you have to start. Actually, you have to fill it up on PMI website. I think the next slide is about that. I'll show you in a minute how you start your application. But your eligibility is based on your engagement with the projects. If you have a 4-year degree after your high school, then in your PMP application, you have to show only 36 months of project engagement. If you have something like a 3-year diploma, an associate degree, or a high school diploma, like I said, PMI don't care. And in that case, all you have to do is you have to show 60 months of project management engagement on your application. Okay, so that's the difference between these two diagrams here. This is 36 months and this is 60 months. And the difference between that, you may have, for example, 12 years of experience, but if you have a associate degree or let's say high school diploma, then all you do is fill up your application to show project duration of 6 months. Otherwise, okay, I'm going to mute a few of you where there's some background noise. Feel free to unmute yourself when you have a question. I might randomly mute some of you if I hear some background noise, but feel free to unmute yourself. So that's the difference between these two. And what is common between these two is watershed management, meaning that you must get your PMP training. It's mandatory for you to get your formal PMP training, and Watershed provides you that formal PMP training. So we give you a certificate which is 35 hours, and this is mandatory for you to take your exam. So in summary, this is your eligibility to take your exam. And just as additional note, as you fill your application, you can only show your project management engagement in the last 8 years. Okay, so you may have, for example, say 12 years of experience, but you cannot claim projects that you did 10 years ago. You can only show projects which you have done anywhere in the last 8 years. Okay, now all of this is important to understand when you start filling your application. So it's good to know a little bit more, so this is what we're discussing right now. Any questions on eligibility?
Yeah, Mr.
Please, yeah, start
Hello.
asking. Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
I joined a little bit later. That's why I cannot say your name. Can you please tell me your name, Mr.?
My name is Salahuddin.
Okay, Mr. Salah. I have a question on, say, for example, I worked in a company for 5 years as a system analyst, but I did a lots of project. I had lots of engagement with projects. So how will show it to the PMP exam? Project wise or cumulative experience?
No, it has to be standalone project wise. So every standalone project you have to mention. You have to mention the start date of the project and the end date of the project. So if you've done projects for the 5 years, you would have to just show your projects for the 5 years, but each project you have to mention separately. And let me show you one more slide here. I'll go back to the slide I skipped. So based on your question, Masood, let me, I'm just going to mute you, Masood. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask your follow-up question. As you can see on the screen, you have 3 projects that are reflected here. So each of them is a standalone project. And what I want to highlight to you is, and in continuation to answer to your question, Masood, is you avoid giving projects which are overlapping with each other. And why is that? PMI is not going to give you double the credit. So if you have projects which are done, at the same time, like here, project 1 and 2, PMI will give you credit for one of the overlapping projects. You will not credit for both project 1 and project 2. So this is as if you did one project from January to June. Do you get the idea? You'll get credit for the time and not for the duration. You'll get credit only for the time, which is fine. I'm sure, like in your example, you have done projects for 5 years. All you need to do is, if you have a bachelor's degree, only show 3 years of that. If not, show 60 months, all of your 5 years. I hope that answers your question. And that gives me a chance to also highlight to you to avoid giving overlapping projects, because PMI will credit you only one project in a time frame. But you have 8 years to claim, right? So I hope this point is clear.
Yeah, Mr. Salahuddin.
Yeah, Mr. Salah, thank you so much. I have another question. I have to show the proof of documents against that project.
That's a good question. Let me take the other questions and I will try to combine all of them together. One is proof of documents. And what are the other questions? I think Ayub also the question.
Yes, Mr. Salahuddin. First of all, thank you very much for this session.
Thank you.
I'm following you from Morocco now. And
nice.
Does the application has an obsolescence? Because like I was working back in UAE like 2 years back, and I applied to PMI and I got my green light to pass the exam, but I didn't get the chance to take the exam. So if I go back to the website of PMI, will I find what I plug in like 3 years back and just carry on, or I have to start from scratch again?
You don't. The good news is you don't have to start from scratch again. There are some projects, from what I gather from my past students who are in similar situation like yours, it appears that the projects are taken out. So you have to just plug in those projects again. This is now, this is the worst case scenario. If you find lucky, because this is the input that I have from some of my past students. Now, if you go back to PMI website, some of the basic information is going to be there, like your phone number, your email address, things like that are already there. But worst case scenario, you will have to plug in all the projects again. This is that, as I understand. But then again, I'm telling you the worst case scenario. If you find yourself lucky to find some of the projects already mentioned from the last time, good for you. Okay. And going back to the first half of the follow-up question, when you fill your application in relation to the documents, when you fill your application, all you will do is you'll fill your application and you'll click on submit. There is no documentation, there's no proof required. Now, let me mention to you that when you fill your application, in summary, what are the things that you're doing? You will fill your personal information, like your website, your name, your phone number, your email address, personal information. And then you'll provide information about your education. Remember, based on the education, PMI is going to decide whether you need to show 3 years or 5 years. And that's the second segment. And the third segment is about all the projects. You can add multiple projects, starting with the first project. And within the first project, they'll ask you specific details. They'll ask you the project title, they'll ask you the project summary. And let me go back to the other slide here. When you fill your application, how to fill your application. When you fill your application, you need to fill in each project and reflect all these details. For example, what was the project objective? What was the project outcome? What the deliverable was? And what was your role in the project in these 5 process groups? Now, even though the material has changed, and later today I will show you what the domains are. However, your project still follows through the 5 process groups, meaning that whenever you start your project, that's initiating the project. Usually this is where you prepare the project charter, you start to identify your stakeholders, and then very quickly you move on into the planning, which is step number 2, or the phase 2 of the project, right? Especially for a plan-driven project. And if you're doing an agile project for the sprint, you still have to do first planning and only then you do the execution. So that order applies to any project, whether it's a plan-driven project or whether you're doing agile, right? So even in an agile project, you just don't start execution randomly. You follow your execution based on a plan. And that's what is the characteristic of an agile project. Repeat everything over and over again. Every sprint or every iteration, you will do the planning first and then you do the execution. So that takes you to the step number 3. So you do the planning. Based on the planning, you do the execution. Now, while you're doing your execution, don't you want your execution to be in line with your plan, whether it is agile or whether it is plan-driven project? Don't you want it to be in line with your plan, your execution? Absolutely, yes. I see, Gilbert, you're nodding. So yes, absolutely. That's the advantage of having the camera on. I can see your reaction. You don't have to speak. I can see. So you see, again, my teaser to those of you who still don't have the camera on. Usually I tease until the end of the session, until, I force you to turn your camera on. You're going to say, give up. You know what? I'm just going to turn on the camera to make him stop teasing me. So that's your monitoring control. So your monitoring control typically is you making sure your execution is going as per the plan. And that goes to say for any kind of a project, whether you're doing plan driven or agile. Now, this is what you will mention in your application. You will say, in my project, I'll take an example of an agile project. I had to develop a software, and this software objective was ta 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 ta. The deliverable of the project was ta 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 ta. You mentioned that, and then you'll say, in initiating, I rounded up everybody, identified my stakeholders. Maybe I did my charter, and in planning, this is what I did. I developed the program plan. I developed my flow chart for the software, things like that. Guys, can I please take this call? I'm getting a call, which, my apologies. Let me take this call very quickly. Thanks.
Yeah, in the meantime, I think that I can just take note of the questions. If you have any questions, you can ask the questions. I'll take note, and then I'll ask Mr. Salah when he comes back.
Hi, guys. Sorry, I need to just take care of one small thing, if you don't mind. Thank you for Sammy just jumping in. That was good, spontaneous, good. I appreciate that. All right, guys, I'm done. All yours now. Thank you again, Sammy. So, yeah, was there a question that I can start with by answering?
No question.
No questions.
Okay. All right. Now, just before I start again, Sammy has posted his contact information just a few minutes ago. What will help us is if you can ping Sammy so that he will be happy to share with you recording for today's session. Let me double check if you're recording. It should record automatically.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, right. And we know that from the participant panel, correct?
It says recording.
Okay, super. Just making sure. So so we were talking about filling up the application. So you will mention the very briefly. Remember, this is not a job application, so don't worry about giving all the technical details. Just give an overview of what you did in your project in initiating, planning, execution, monitoring, control, and closing. That'll be great. And as you finish with the course, or as you start with the full course, you will start getting familiar with PMI terminology. Even today, I'm going to talk to you about domains. So you can, while you fill your application, use some of the keywords that you will learn today. All right. So that's so that's a summary of how you fill your PMP application. So in summary, you have personal information, education, and then every single project you have to spell it out. And you have to start by mentioning the beginning and the end date of the project. The only additional thing I want to add now is that for each project, you are required to provide reference. So they need the name, email address, and phone number of the reference. Now, they will not contact your reference until you have submitted your application and you're randomly audited. Not all of you will get audited. So, sorry, this is my teenage kid. That's the so he is, just bear with me, guys. He's, sorry, he knows I'm in a class, and sorry, my apologies for this.
Round 2 of questions.
Round 2 of questions. So,
let me take this opportunity just to, because a lot of people are asking me to share the recordings with them. So if I got your, I think when you registered for the meeting, you filled up the application and you gave us your email and phone number. So as long as we have your contact information, after the session, after the recording is ready, I'll be sharing the recording with everyone in the attendance list. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, thank you again, Sammy. And now I got confirmation from my teenage kid that whatever he needed from me, he has it. He needed OTP pin because he's ordering from Talabat. I think the new Talabat is forcing you to give OTP pin because using. So my apologies, and it's my teenage kid, so So all right, and since we're doing, this is not a full formal session; it's a little bit informal to to certain degree. So once again, thank you for allowing me to attend to my teenage kid. All right. So this is where we are. Any questions about? So I think I was mentioning to you about reference and audit. So 2 things I mentioned new to you. One is references for the project. Now, before I talk about references, completing the answer to Masood's question, all you're doing is type, click on submit. You're not attaching any documents. You're not attaching nothing. All you're doing is filling in the information online and submit the button. Click on the submit button. You're done with your application. Randomly, you will be audited. And for each project, when you're audited, you'll be asked to get your project signed by your reference. Even then, PMI is not going to contact your references for the project. So where are we? You have submitted your application. 95% of you will be automatically approved. Randomly, 5% of you, this is not official, maybe 7%, it's not official for PMI, give or take a single digit, maybe 5 or 9% will get audited. If you're audited, what do you have to do? You will be required to, they will send you each project separated, because you filled each project separately. For each project that you have submitted, whoever is the reference has to sign that paper. And that paper you have to collect from all of your references, put it in one envelope, and send it to PMI. Now, don't worry about, we're talking about something which is going to be way outside of where we are right now. In any case, whenever you submit your application, or if you have any question or if you have any doubt, even after today's session, it doesn't matter whether you're taking the course with us. Hang on. Am I audible?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you are fading.
I think the problem is I can hear background noise from
Dahlia?
from Dahlia. Yeah.
Okay, how about now? Am I audible now?
Yes.
I think my camera froze, right?
Yeah, you are frozen, but your audio is there.
Okay, let me try to
Now we only have the logo.
Okay, I have no. I just unplugged and I have an external web camera.
Oh yes, the beautiful face
I
is
think
back.
it's back in business. All right. Now, so if you're audited, first of all, whatever happens in future, it's not a very straightforward journey. There's so many things, right? You have to fill the application. There's so many things you have to do properly when you're filling the application. You might be audited, you might not be audited. What I'm trying to tell you is, don't worry about remembering every single thing I'm telling you right now. As long as you know how to reach me, or you know how to reach Sammy, let me push it on Sammy. As long as you know how to reach out to Sammy, you're covered. Because any question that you have, you'll ping to Sammy, and Sammy has to make sure he's answering your question.
Yeah.
Make sure you have Sammy's contact information. And we are here for you until you pass your exam. Now, so having said that, inshallah, try to absorb as much of information we're trying to give you today. A lot of information. Wherever you're stuck, we are here for you. All right. So having said that, let me move on. So I think now you understand the steps for the audit in case you're audited. And this, of course, will happen only when you complete your application. So just before I move on, I think all the questions from Masood is answered, and Ayub, about your application is also answered. Now, Dalia, did you have a question? Because we found you were unmute for some time. Did you have a question for us?
No, I think by mistake. Thank you so much. Everything
No
is clear.
issues. Now that we know your mic is working, Dalia, if you have a question, don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Mr. Salah, I think it's worth mentioning that because of the chance of being audited, even if you have more than 3 years of experience in the last 8 years, just stick to the 3 years period. Don't over submit your experience, because
Sammy has a very good point. Don't do over information in your application. If you're required to give 3 years of projects, and that's translating to 2 projects, don't give 5 projects. Because if you're audited, then you need 5 signatures, remember?
Yeah. Making things simple.
Make it simple. Remember, it's not a job application. It's just an application for your PMP exam. PM is not going to use this, nothing, it's just an application. So yes, Sammy, good point. Don't overcomplicate your application. However, the minimum criteria in the way that you got to fill your application, PMI is very particular about this. Whenever they audit, they will make sure the objective you have defined it. If not, they'll ask, what is your project objective? And make sure you define the deliverables. If not, they'll ask you, in your project number so and so, the deliverable is not clear. Please elaborate. Sometimes they do that. I have seen them do that. Now,
maybe I can add something.
Sample application, yes, like I told you, ask Sammy. He has a lot of reference material. Sammy has sample PMP applications. Bug him, he will send it to you. Sammy, sorry, you're going to be under the bus today, I don't know, 200 times, I'm going to throw you under the bus. Whenever there's anything, Sam is going to be under the bus.
No worries. I'll help, and I'll do my best to help, inshallah.
Yeah, actually, jokes apart, we are here to support you. So, there is also sample applications we can share with you. Sammy, I think we have some recent applications. Maybe, I'll put it in the B2C tracker. We can
I'll share it with anyone who asks.
So if you need the application, Sammy can share it with you. Just let him know that you're interested in that. Now, let me just go through this slide, which is an overview of the whole. So this is a summary of the discussion we had in the past 15-20 minutes. You have to fill your application on PMI website. I think, let me show you the next slide where you get your application started. Not on
I
this.
think Masoud has his hand raised.
Yeah.
I'm just checking the attendees list.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I did.
Hello,
Yeah.
Mr. Salah.
Yeah, go ahead. Masood, if you have a question, I'm not going to notice you raise your hand. I told you, you have to unmute yourself and just ask, you know. Question, Masood?
Yeah, Mr. Salah, I have a question. Actually, say for example, I'm working for a company, and the company is working for many customer on behalf of project. So during referencing to the project, what I will do? Actually, I will refer to the company, or I will refer to the company's customer reference.
Good question. Even if your project is meant for an external sponsor, internally you also have your internal sponsor. Somebody in your company is making sure the project is getting done. So that is your internal sponsor. Or maybe somebody internally is leading the whole thing, right? So that person can be your reference. It could be your manager in your company. It could be the project manager in your company. It could be project director in your company. If needed, you can also give the reference of the client, as long as sometimes you're only in the client. Like if you're an auditor, for example, you're on the client side every single day of the year, for example. And if you have good relations with the client to the extent that you have to get the permission from whoever reference you're giving outside of your company, because you don't want to be surprised if you're audited and they decline to sign the paper. So just, let them know this is what you're doing, that you're going to give their reference. And if you're audited, they might be required to sign the paper, which is about the project. So it might be even a better idea to share with whoever is your reference. I think now you have the answer. It could be anybody internal to your company, ideally your manager or a project manager, or it could be even your client. PMI is very lenient with that. As long as whoever is your reference will sign that paper. Now, so I think that's the answer to your question. Yeah. Are you?
Thank you, Mr. Salah. Thank you.
Sure. And so this is the slide. I missed to highlight this slide. Now, the idea of this slide is to show you how you can start your application. So what you see is the snapshot from PMI website. This is PMI website, pmi.org. You click, you go to pmi.org, and any of the page of PMI, you have this purple or blue menu. See this blue menu? First link is certifications. When you click on certifications, this bigger menu opens, the certifications will open up. Then you have to click on certification type, and then somewhere you find PMP. So here, when you click on this, it will take you to the PMP landing page. Now, because this is just a snapshot from the website, if you scroll down on the right-hand side, you will see apply now. Okay, so this is how you start your application. Go to pmi.org, click on certifications, click on certification type, click on PMP, and then click on apply now. For now, I think the minimum for you is, remember, is pmi.org. Okay, and everything is through pmi.org. And like I said, if you have any issues, contact Sammy. All right. Now, this is how you start your application. When you start your application, you're here. You don't have to fill the whole application in one sitting. You can do it over a period of time. You have about 90 days to complete your application, because sometimes you have to think, because you have to elaborate the project, right? So you have to sit down and write all the details. It may take certain amount of time. By the way, we have an Excel sheet. Sammy can share that sheet with you, and Sammy, I'll put everything in the PMI resource folder so that you can share with anybody who wants it. We have an Excel sheet that you can start filling out, and you can copy paste the information from the Excel sheet into PMI website. So that can help you work offline, and when you're online, you can just plug in the data. After you submit your application, PMI will get back to you within 5 days with two possibilities. Okay, one of them is good news and one of them is a catch. So you want to know the catch first or you want to know the good news first?
Good news.
Good news first. Okay. So the good news is, you know, 95% or more percent of you will be automatically approved. Only a handful of applicants are randomly audited. Thank God Trump is not doing PMI. Otherwise, everybody from Middle East will be audited. So you know, randomly you'll be audited. And if you're audited, now you know what to do. It's simple. You know, you got to print those papers. You know, not you. Your reference has to sign those papers and give it to you, and you have to submit to PMI. So this is the whole thing. Now, after you're audited and when you complete your PMP exam, again, there's a good news and a catch. So you want to know the good news now or the catch first?
Good news again.
Again, good news. Okay.
All
So
of the good news.
all good news first. Okay. So after you pass your PMP exam, you know, you have 1 year to take your PMP exam. After you pass your PMP exam, you don't have to take the PMP exam again for your whole life. You can renew your PMP status by claiming 60 PDUs. What is PDU? PDU is learning units, professional development units. How do you get PDUs? Speaking of PDUs, there are 3 types of PDUs that you have to get. Now, PDU, by the way, is professional development unit. 1 hour of learning is 1 PDU. You have 3 years. You have 3 years to get. You have 3 years to get 60 PDUs, and you can get all of the PDUs from education. When it comes to education, there are 3 types of 3 types of PDUs that you have to get. For example, so you get the idea, right? So let's summarize. You pass your PMP exam, you have 3 years to get 60 PDUs. What is the meaning of PDU? 1 learning hour is 1 PDU. Examples, you do some new training, you watch a few videos on YouTube. See, nowadays, if you have to learn something, the very first thing which almost every one of us will do, go to YouTube and type whatever you're trying to learn. For example, you want to learn about Primavera, the new version. I don't know whatever the current version. I think the last one is P6. Let's say there's some new features added to Primavera. So you'll say Primavera new features, right? And you'll watch like, I don't know, 5 YouTube videos, you know. And let's say all those videos are adding up to 2 hours. So it means you have 2 PDUs you can claim from PMI, and you learn something about technical stuff. So what you just did on YouTube is example of gaining 2 technical PDUs because you've watched videos which added up to a duration of 2 hours about Primavera P6, or for that matter, business process mapping tools. I don't know, you know, there's so many of them, right? So you have Eris, you have, I think, TIPCO is another one, or maybe Visio. Some of you are doing your business processes in Visio. Again, if you're learning, even Six Sigma, if you're doing Six Sigma, after you pass your PMP exam, all of that is technical stuff. Now, there are 2 more types of learning that you have to do. And again, go to YouTube, watch videos on any one of these topics. These are examples. Very quickly, you can identify a learning topic, which is either technical or leadership related or strategy and business related. These are examples. It's an endless list. These are just examples. And you can get all your PDUs from youtube.com. That's the easy part. Are you good with the 3 types of PDUs you have to get? And are you good with understanding examples of them? Let me just read out a couple of random examples. In leadership, for example, brainstorming is considered as leadership. Negotiation is considered as leadership. Interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence. These are just random examples. Business skills and strategy, market understanding, customer management. These are the typical examples. Strategy planning, competitive analysis. Sammy, competitive analysis. We are going through this exercise right now. Remember?
Yeah.
Sam is
one more thing, Mr. Salah. I think that Mohammed is asking, do you need to provide proof if you, if you want to submit to get PDUs, do you need to provide proof that I watched this video or I read this book? No, no,
there is no proof. PMI will trust you. You know why PMI will trust you? Because somewhere in your application, in one of the fine print, they will say that if you become PMP certified, you will apply to PMI Code of Ethics. So if you tell PMI, I watched YouTube for 3 hours on, for example, I did a short course on YouTube on emotional intelligence, and you will say, this is my 3 PDUs on leadership, they will give you 3 PDUs on leadership once you're PMP certified, because they will expect you, because that's what you signed up for, to follow Code of Ethics. And if you tell them I did this, they will give it to you. There's no proof. Like in your application, there's no proof required that, only when you're audited, you need signatures. Otherwise, your application is automatically approved. So all along the way, PMI will just take your application and your claim on the face value. If you tell them, they will accept.
One more thing, Mr. Salah, about the auditing. I read something. I was surfing the PMI because they made a lot of changes, and I needed to read about them. They said in the website that even after you are PMP certified, even after you get PMP certified, PMI can audit you.
So that's good to know. So that's why,
like,
that's why don't complicate your application. Make your life easy.
Yeah.
Make sure that whatever details you're giving, at any point somebody can vouch, and cover your back. So that's another thing to mention. Thank you for bringing it up, Sami.
Yeah, that was surprising. That was weird.
Yes. They're making it more and more. See, because PMI is gaining more and more popularity worldwide. So they're doing all of these things from the quality management point of view, just to ensure that the level of value and benefit that PMI claims to bring, by doing all these steps in quality management, all of them are reinforced. Otherwise, if people start to believe that PMI is starting to be, in Trump's language, a little bit fake, it will lose its value in a sense. So PMI is doing their best to make sure that they can maintain the market, how should I say, somewhat dominance in the market, how should I say, recognition PMI has. Okay, so that's why they're doing all these steps. Okay, so thank you for Sami for bringing that up. You might be audited anytime, new information. Now you know about PDUs, and I think now you're familiar with the 3 types of PDUs, and now unless you're asked, you're not required to give any proof. Okay. So this is about this flow chart. Starting from where you are today, you will start with the application. Along the way, you may or may not get audited. Along the way, inshallah, you will be PMP certified. And once you're PMP certified, now you know about 60 PDUs in 3 years. Then you're PMP for 3 more years and new 60 PDUs. Any questions about that flow chart, which is basically your whole journey, and about PDUs?
Yes, someone is asking me, after you get certified, the good news is you don't have to do the exam again. You're done with the exam. You only have to collect PDUs. After you collect the 60 PDUs, it's automatically renewed for another 3 years.
Yes, that's correct. Now, I think Sam, you're asking me Sammy's contact. Sammy's contact is the one that he posted to everybody.
Do you want me to share it again? I'll share it again.
Yes, you can share it again. Yeah. So Sam, Sammy, can you find a Sam NA? I hope I'm saying that right. Oh, Sam just joined. So Sam, if you can just post it to everybody again, your contact.
Yeah, I posted it.
Okay, Sam, that's your answer. You wanted Sammy's contact. So this is all the way to reach Sammy. All right. Now this is the new segment. Before I show you the new segment and scare you, any questions?
I have a question actually. If you're using the PMP application and you use your projects, and then in future time you want to actually do a portfolio or a program, can you use the same projects?
Actually, there's good news for you, Susan. If your PMP, if you pass your PMP exam, then for program management, you're waived from the project part of the application.
Okay.
They'll waive it off. However, there is a different, I mean, obviously, the program management is a layer above project management. So let's take the worst case scenario. Somebody doesn't have a PMP certificate, then they have to give 4 years of project experience and 4 years of program experience. Now, if assuming that you would be PMP certified by the time you're starting your program management application, they will credit you the 4 years of PMP, and you only have to focus on the 4 years of program management to show in your application.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I'm just going through that right now. I've already enabled my application and PMI website for my program management. And I've seen that they've already waived off my project experience because I'm PMP certified. And now I have to, because filling the program application is completely different from the project experience, because now you have to show business value and business benefit that the programs we're bringing is slightly different. So I'm working on putting all that information together. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, I will have, well, no, I know I have been thinking of doing this for the last 2 weeks and I still didn't do it. So I will target to do it in the next 2 weeks, hopefully. I'm working on it right now. So that's the answer to your question. They have two separate segments about project, but you still have a separate segment about program.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. And now we're moving on to a new segment. So please feel free to ask your questions as you have them. All right. So now what we have done is in the past few slides, we talked about eligibility. We talked about, the whole project management cycle, from now to filling your application. Now we talked about PDUs. These are examples of things that you can claim as PDUs. Now moving forward, this next segment is introduction and getting familiar with the structure, almost of your, I'm not going to say PM book now because PM book is not released, but this is the structure for the exam preparation material. Let's say everything that you need to study for the exam is exam material. You need to be able to apply what you see in the slide now into whatever material you look going forward. Let me just mention to you a couple of things because we're starting this new segment. In summary, I will show this to you in a slide later. In summary, all of you who want to take your PMP exam must sign up with one of the authorized training partners. Remember, I showed you the batch that we had as Watershed, as we are a training center who's authorized to give PMP training. So if you are planning to do your PMP exam, then you are required to get your student manual, and the student manual can only be issued by a training provider, which is in this case Watershed Management. So again, get hold of Sammy. He knows how to get you the student manual. Now this is one of the resources that you will need in preparation for the exam, which is for now it's called a student manual. Okay, it's actually a book. I have it handy here, but so there you go. This is an actual book, issued and published by PMI. Where is it? There you go. Sam is holding it up for you. Now the book by default, you get the PDF of the book by default. Okay, this is called as a student manual. Now this student manual is broken down into domains and lessons. Now stay with me. You want to understand this slide from left to right. I'm sorry, I couldn't add animation on the slide. I could have, maybe going forward, I will. Bear with me. You can clearly see 3 columns in this slide, right? You can see process groups, you can see domains, and you can see lessons. Stay with me when we're going to start from the left. So don't focus on anything we're not talking about right now. Right now, I want to focus on process groups. Don't worry about domains and lessons. Give me a minute. Speaking of process groups, we mentioned the process groups just a few minutes ago. Any project that you are doing, even Agile, goes through the 5 process groups, right? You will have to initiate the project. And for each iteration in Agile, or in general for a plan-driven project, like for example, construction, you got to plan for whatever your project is. And what happens after planning? You start doing the work. So what was the idea of monitoring control? What did we say is monitoring control? What do you think is monitoring control while you're doing execution?
Can I
So
answer?
monitor.
Sammy, no, you cannot. Sorry. This time I will
Review
throw you out of the bus instead of throwing you under the bus.
Review the performance of the execution work.
Exactly. Based on what? Based on the plan.
Based on the PMPs, based on the project management plans, and to check that there is no scope creep, there is no delay, there is no issues with the executions.
All of them put together and slightly more. You're trying to do your execution as per your plan, and that step is called monitor and control of your project. So, and finally, when you finish your whole project, whether it is Agile or plan driven, you will do close, right? So you see, if you focus on plan execution and monitor and control, in a plan driven project, you do it in a bigger scale for the whole project. In an adaptive or an agile project, you do the whole cycle over and over again, right? This is the way of one of the ways of looking at your project, and this was true in the book until version 6. Now, does it mean that going forward projects will not have initiating, planning, and execution? No, this is not what PMI is saying. So that's why we're going to keep that in our mind. How so? One way of interpreting any project you're doing is based on what? Based on process groups. So far, so good, guys? Now we'll do the opposite. Now ignore process groups. Only focus on domains. Okay, see these 3 domains. This is new way of looking at your project. Why do I say that? Because this is the basis on which is your student manual, which is the new material for exam preparation. And this will be, we'll have to wait until PM Book 7 is out, but PM Book 7 is going to be more of a focus on the domains. And what are the 3 domains that PMI is talking about? And by the way, if you go to PMI website, you'll find more information about domains and lessons. So this is introduction to all of that. So now we're getting familiar with what is a domain. So let me put it this way. When you go for your exam, either you consider that your exam is going to be based on the 5 process groups, or now PMI wants you to consider that your exam is going to be based on 3 domains. What are the 3 domains? One domain of a project is the people. That includes all your stakeholders, clients, sponsor, project team, vendors. You know, we talked about procurement earlier. You get the idea. Everybody, people. 42% of your exam is going to be based on people. Okay. Then the second domain is process. What is process? Is the way you will do things. I mean, there's a certain manner, you know, with which you will do planning. There's a certain manner and certain style of doing execution. And there's a certain approach to how you do monitoring control. All of that is methodology, process. So PMI wants you to understand the best practices around how you do, for example, planning, how you do monitoring control, how you do execution. All of that is reflected in processes. Okay. And half of your exam is going to be around methodology, right? And the remaining 8% of your exam, because the total will be 100%, the remaining 8% of your exam is going to be around business environment. And this is more about things that affect your project, things which can be internal to the company, internal to the project, external to the project, external to the company. If there is something that's going to affect your project and something that you must be mindful of, all of that is your project business environment. You have roughly 8% of your exam, which is, about you being aware of your environment. Okay. Now, this is your 3 domains. So far, so good. Now, for now, only focus on lessons, which is the extreme right-hand side of the screen. So like I said, once you take any PMP training, by default, you will get your student manual, which is the exam preparation material. The official exam preparation material is the book that Sammy was holding a minute ago. That book has 5 lessons. Now, those 5 lessons are the 5 chapters. Actually, I have my PDF open. I will show it to you in just a minute. So that book has 5 chapters, and those chapters are referred to as lessons. And what I've done for you, I've taken it to the next step, and I've tried to map roughly. I say roughly because it's not 100% map. There might be some overlap here and there in the domains. So just by reading the names of the lessons, let me see if you can agree to how I did the mapping for you. Do you agree that creating a high performance team is more of people stuff or more of people domain? Do you tend to agree? Okay. Now, reading this, reading the next lesson, the next topic, not topic, what is it called? The lesson name, chapter name. This is the chapter name. Starting the project is the name of the chapter or the name of the lesson, the second lesson in the book. When you read this, isn't it sounding like planning?
Like the process.
And initiation, right?
And initiation and planning, exactly. Therefore, isn't that more like sounding like a domain process? And moving on, the name of the third lesson, I think now you get the drift. I've done the color coding for you. Anything which is purple, should be purple. Some kind of a blue or purple is processes. Some kind of an orange is people. And this some kind of a blue is business environment. So there are 5 lessons. So very quickly, let me show you the student manual. I have that here handy with me. I can share it with you. So what I'm going to show you right now, just for a quick minute, this is the soft copy of your, by the way, this is the name of the official name of the course. This is issued to me, so I cannot give it to you. This is one thing I cannot give you. I can only show it to you. You will get it. Each one of you will get your copy. So these are the 5 lessons. Remember, guys, I told you lesson 1, lesson 2. So lesson 1 was creating high performance team. Lesson 2 was starting the project. And these are the 5 lessons. That's the whole book is only 5 lessons. You have a few appendices. When you get your book, I'm going to go there right now. Glossary. You must read somewhere along the way. You must read all of the glossary. Some very good, glossary is here. But you get the idea. Where is my index? Oops, I think I closed my index. But anyway, so guys, this is your student manual. All of you will get your student manual, and these are your 5 lessons in your student manual. And then any questions, guys? Because I already realize I'm throwing a lot of information at you. So that's why we'll share with you the slides.
So this manual is as per the 7th edition of the PMP book, right?
Yeah. Now, see, now PMI is strongly holding the position that your exam is no longer based on PM book guide. So your exam is going to be collective from PIM Book 7, student manual, which has the 5 lessons. By the way, they're all shadows to each other and more. They can ask you general question about application of project management, and that can necessarily not be 100% covered in the books. It will be more based on certain, let's say certain logical approach, certain application of best practices. If you are thorough with your understanding of the student manual, which are the 5 lessons, that is going to be your guiding light to be ready for the exam. So answer to your question, your student, what is it called, student manual and PIM book guide 7 is going to be more on the around the lessons. But if you look at it now, let's do reverse engineering, reverse mapping. There are 2 ways to map your lessons. One way to map your lessons is to domains, and what I was not able to show you here is map your lessons to the process groups. And as you get into the course, we will continuously do the reverse engineering. What do I mean? Let me show you the next slide. Now, where are we? Your whole student manual is based on lessons, and there are 5 of them. And the whole student manual is a translation of the domains. This is one way of looking at it. Or your whole student manual is a combination of translation of process groups combined with domains. The better you understand that correlation, you don't have to understand it today, but as you continue with the course, at least me as I'll be your instructor, I'll make sure that we continuously map them as we continue, because this is not the end of it. This is the beginning of the complications. What you see on your slide right now is one level into each lesson. So these are the 5 lessons, and these are your 5 lessons. We just hang on. Where's my? So, am I sharing the slide? I think I'm sharing my PowerPoint, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, for some reason my mouse
Yes,
doesn't.
you can see the one PMP exam prep course outline.
Yes. Hang on, I'm trying to do some small thing here. Okay, now it is. I was searching for the red dot. So yes, so these are the 5 lessons. Now each lesson is a breakdown, right? Each lesson has contents in the lesson, and that is called as topics. So lesson 1 has all these topics, lesson 2 has all these topics, so on and so forth. Like I said, right now you're not required to know anything beyond the lessons, but this is what each lesson is built of. And further breakdown, you really have to understand the structure. How do you understand any given topic? For example, this is one topic. Plan and manage schedule is one topic. And let me read a random topic. Manage conflict is another topic. Train the team members is another topic. So how do you, from the exam preparation point of view, understand any one topic? The way to understand that is to know the details of the topic, and each topic has 3 types of details that we will discuss in the PMP training course. And this is, how should I say, the backbone of your exam preparation. Your exam preparation must be you understanding every topic, which means understanding the 3 components of each topic, which are enablers, deliverables, and tools. For now, let me just focus on enablers, because I know I'm already going into details, which probably is starting to confuse you already. I can presume that. So enablers are things that you will do. Enablers are things that you will do for fulfilling your topic. Remember, one topic was training your team. Now, whatever you will do to make sure your team is getting trained is enabler. Completing the training is your deliverables, and you'll have tools along the way. You get the idea? Same thing goes with Let me take a couple of random topics. So let's say you have to manage project changes. To manage project changes, you'll do a few things. That's enablers, okay? And so we leave deliverables and tools for later. For now, you now know one term called enabler, which is an official term from PMI. And enabler is everything that you are doing in your project for what? For achieving or fulfilling a topic. And what was a topic again? What is a topic? Topic is a breakdown of each. What are these headings here?
Of each lessons.
Each
Of the
lesson.
lessons.
And again, doing the reverse engineering, there are two ways to look at any given lesson. You know what? Let me go one level down. There are two ways to look at any given topic. Either it is going to map to one of the domains or it's going to map to one of the process groups. Each topic that you see here, you can map it to either one domain or one process group.
I have one question that's came to my mind. Is what does PMI do? Just to, I don't know if it is true or not. It's just take the knowledge areas of the 6 editions and the processes and twist them and come up with new way of presenting things, or this is like new study that come up with a new way of doing project management?
I'm going to pick one word from your whole question. Twist. It's not twist. It's twist square and twist cube. I'm so angry with PMI. You should wait till I start the class, because I finished one class in November, December, and as Sami, we reached to a point where the students started counting how many times I'm getting angry with PMI. Because it's not twist, it's twist cube. Imagine the complexity. Now, see, me as a trainer have to ensure you are prepared for the exam in a logical manner, right? But if you twist things, logic is out of the question. So it becomes more challenging for me to bring logic back into the discussion. And it's not twist, it's twist cube. So imagine the kind of challenge I will have as a trainer to help you map each topic to the domain and the process groups. But this is my problem. And I've finished it. I've already solved it. I finished it with one batch, but I had to rant so many times with PMI. Maybe with you guys, I'll rant slightly less, but I'll still rant at PMI during the whole training session. But again, our job is to unfold the twist, which PMI already created to begin with. So don't get me started on PMI. Why did they even have to twist it? Okay, what was the reason for them to twist it? I have no idea. Did they go crazy? In my opinion, yes. Just,
I don't know if we can mention this or not, but all the changes they made, they told no one about them.
For your information, I'm going to release an introduction video to a similar video that I'm doing right now. I'm going to put it on YouTube, and I'll flag it to PMI, and I'll mention in my comments. You can count how many times I'm getting upset with PMI.
Yeah.
No, they just messed up the whole thing. But like I said, I'm the gateway between you and PMI. So let me filter all the PMI problems for you. Hopefully by the time you look at the information, it's more distilled, more clear, hopefully. But this is what your whole course will be about. In summary, you need to be clear with all the topics for your exam preparation, which is all grouped in one book called a Student Manual, and which is a reflection of PIM Book 7. Okay.
Mr. Sal, I have a question. Please, can you allow me?
Can I say no? Of course, yes. Don't just shoot. Just ask your question. Sorry, I have to make it light. So yes, please ask.
Okay,
Guys,
okay, Mr. Salah. How in very lame question, how I will get the student manual?
Sammy.
Is it okay? Please.
Yes,
No.
there are multiple steps into getting the student's manual. So the first thing you need to do is to register with an ATP, preferably Watershed. After you register with an ATP, the center will order the student manual for you. Now there are two options you can pick from. You either get the digital copy. You only get a digital copy of the student manual, and so the center will provide you with the soft key. You'll go to logical operations, right?
Yeah, for now, this PMI partner,
yeah, you'll go to the website and you'll enter, you'll submit your soft key. You'll get your soft copy of the student manual, or you'll order the hard copy. Not you, but the center will order the hard copy for you, and you'll get the digital copy and the hard copy with that option. So
Mr. Sami, as a PMI member, I will get the student manual.
No, as a PMI member, you get access to the PIM book and other very useful books, but you don't get you don't have access to the student manual. The only way to have access to the student manual is to register with an ATP. I think Mr. Salah is showing the flow chart of the whole process. So you need, for the digital copy, you need to redeem your soft key. You need a soft key, and to get that, you need to register with the ATP. The ATP will order it from PMI and will give it to you.
So as an answer to your question, which is a good question, what Sammy has helped is walk you through what you see on the screen. This is the whole process of becoming PMP certified. So let's very quickly run through this flow chart. So there's 6 steps. Okay. Step 1, get hold of Sammy. He will help you with all the remaining steps. Step 2, you have to register with PMI online. We will do this for you. And by the way, the student manual, PMI is not issuing, they're charging you for the student manual. Okay. So, but you have to register, you have to sign up with PMI, create your user ID and password on PMI website. Somewhere along the way, once you register, by the way, our course, our fee includes the fee for the student manual. So when you register with us, then we will give you the soft key, which is step number 4. But for you to be able to redeem your key, you have to complete step number 3, which is sign up with PMI. Then we will give you a soft key, like a license key. And that license key, you have to plug into this website. For now, this LO, somewhere did I mention that? Is it mentioned? Sammy created this, actually, Sammy. So
I think this is logical operations.
This is logical operations. And basically, we'll give you this link. Click on this link and you will plug in your soft key. And when you plug in your soft key, then you have access to the training material. Okay. So let me do one more thing. I think, so here, what you need to know is basically here. So when you go to that, that site that we're talking about, logical operations. So this is that logical operation sites. When you go to the site, you have to click on the plus sign, and then it will open this black window. Here, you have to plug in that license key, which Sammy can share with you. This license key is only issued through authorized trainers, like authorized ATPs. We are ATPs, right? So we can issue that key to you on behalf of PMI. Actually, it has to be purchased from PMI.
Yeah, and also it's really important to mention that this process is the way you'll get your necessary hours for the exam. So you need to, if we can go back to the previous slide, Mr. Salah, there's like the enroll button, the add course, and the enroll button. See here, when you redeem your soft key, enroll, now PMI will count the 35 hours you get.
So just to continue what Sam is saying, remember you need the 35 learning hours.
Contact hours.
This is how PMI, and okay, now all the official material is only, every student needs the official material, and the official material is only issued through the authorized trainers, right? So therefore, once you plug in your soft key, this is how PMI knows that you're doing the training. You get the idea? For example, you can no longer watch PMP training program on Udemy and claim it. You cannot claim it anymore. You have to plug in your license key, and that's the, so to speak, proof to PMI that you're doing your 35 contact hours.
Okay.
So I know it sounds complicated, but again, it's step by step, and all those steps are in the flow chart. Where is the flow chart? This is all the steps are here in this one flow chart. Okay. So again, just to recap, because I know you have to do the steps. So reach out to us. We are an ATP. As part of your taking the course with us, we will do the step number 2 for you, and we will give you the soft key ready for you. How do you use the soft key? Sign up with PMI, plug your soft key on this website, and you have the student manual. And this is how you continue to register for the exam. Okay. So this is the whole flow chart. Thank you, Sammy, for creating this flow chart. He spent a lot of time in making this flow chart, Sammy. Good job. So this is what your whole exam is about. So I think, are you clear with enablers? What is enabler? What is enabler?
What? Enabler.
Yeah, remember enabler is, each topic is broken down to enablers, deliverables, and tools. Enabler is the work that you will do for each topic. Where do you find topics?
The lessons.
In the lessons. How many lessons in the new material?
5 lessons.
And how many domains?
3.
3. And how many process groups?
Process are still the same, right?
Yeah, the process groups are 5.
5. Same.
Yeah, so again, different terminologies, different ways of dissecting your exam preparation material, but these are all the different ways now you're able to dissect and be clear with. You can dissect your whole exam preparation as lessons, and lessons are broken down to topics, or domains, or process groups. Okay. So that's kind of a, new exam material 101. You now know a little bit of everything from the new exam material point of view. Your PIM book 7 is going to be a reflection of all these 5 lessons, which anyway you have in the student manual. And I showed you a PDF file just now. It's about 300 pages. Remember that PDF file I showed you with the index of the 5 lessons? That's the whole student manual. So for now, you have the student manual accessible. PIM book 7 is not yet released, but because officially PMI is holding the position that when PIM book 7 is out, the exam is not going to further change. It means the current exam is going to be a combination from the dissection point of view. You need to be able to dissect your project both in the process group manner and also in the domains manner. Domains is the new thing. Process group is up until version 6. I don't know if I'm making full sense to you, but did I make full sense to you? What I just said? The domains is the new thing, and process group is up until the version 6. But that doesn't mean the process groups are going away. Just that they now want to look at your project in a manner of domains. And these domains are broken down. Lessons are broken down to topics, and topics are broken down to enablers. Okay. This is the decode. Okay. Like I said, maybe I'm showing you too much information, but that's the whole idea of today's session. And I think the focus now is to be on this slide for now. And that's the end of this segment. before we move on, any questions I can answer? There's a lot of
some. I think that people are asking me if this about the recordings. Let me just mention again that everyone who I have the contact information of, I will send them the recording after the session. Also, I'll send them the slides that you can see that Mr. Salah is sharing. If you need anything extra, if anything else, just tell me, and I'll do my best to help you.
Thanks again, Sam. All right, so now I think you already know some of the. Actually, so I'm just going to mute you, Ayman, for now. So yeah, now this is your. I think you already know everything from this slide. You know the 3 domains. You know that your exam is going to be pretty much an equal blend of Waterfall and Agile, and hybrid. Any questions about this slide? I think now you know this slide very well. Okay, so already 2nd of January. So, this was my old slide. So now the exam has already changed. Okay, and moving on, fees. In addition to taking the course with us, which is, we have the fees to pay for the exam, which you don't have to pay right now. Of course, you can wait until you're ready for the exam. You need to pay for the exam fees only to book the exam date. You don't need to pay the exam fees even to get your application accepted. So you can have your PMP application completed, submitted, and accepted by PMI without paying the exam fees. This helps you, divide your payments. So you don't have to come up with the whole cost of the program in one shot. You can, pay things, as you go. So you start with the training, then you eventually complete your application. Then you know that you want to book exam date. Before that time is when you should be paying the exam fees. And as you can see here, there's a difference in the fee for being a PMI member and by being a non-member. Now this is PMI membership. In summary, every one of you, if you know you want to take PMP exam, my recommendation is today become PMI member today. Because by becoming PMI member, you can get access to all these different books. One of the books is PIM book. This is, by the way, PIM book 6. Remember guys, PIM book 7 is not yet released. If you're a PMI member, you get PIM book 6 for free and you'll get PIM book 7 for free. The student manual is not free from PMI. So even if you're a member, you cannot still get student manual. Somehow they make it more complicated. They should have probably, in my opinion, but again, they don't take my opinion anymore. Okay, as I told you, don't let me get started with PMI. So my recommendation to you, become PMI member. You get all these different books about risk management. Hey, Susan, follow up to your question. If you become PMI member, you can also download the program management standard. So you can have it for future use. I think right now is version 4 of program management. PIMBOK is version 7, which is for project management. And program management book is still version 4. It's been so since, I don't know, 2015, I don't remember. But you will, once you become a member, you can download all of the books and save them, locally. And,
Perfect, thank you.
And they're yours, to read anytime. So like I said, my recommendation to all of you, become PMI member. And you can download all this, 12, 15 books, including risk management, earned value management. There's a separate book on Agile. And if you are a member, they give you discount in the exam fees also. So there's, as you can imagine, you're getting much more by paying your membership fees in addition to getting the discount in the PMP exam. And if you become, I was going to think for a moment, Sammy, can we safely say that the program management fees is also discounted? I think we can safely say, Susan, this is with a disclaimer, maybe I'm not 100% right, but I'm pretty certain all PMI exams are discounted with membership.
Yeah, the CAPM is discounted. The PMP is discounted. So we
And how
can
about
assume
program?
the program and the portfolio will be discounted.
By that logic, should be program management also. So like, you know, as you can imagine, there are multiple benefits of becoming PMI member. Even now for project management, there are more than what you see here as benefits. One, you get the discounted exam fees. Second, you get access to all these books that you can download. Actually, you have to download the books. If you don't download the books, then you won't have them. So you have to actually download all these books, and you can download them for free after you become PMI member. So I think you are clear in my encouragement to you to become PMI members, as long as you know that you will be taking the PMP exam within this year. So that's the, so in summary, your exam fees is $405, because anyway you have to be a member to take the full benefit of it. So, or give or take around $550. I think, so if you do 405 plus 140, give or take $550 US dollars, which is in reals, I think it's roughly 1900 reals, and any of you in UAE is 1900 dirhams roughly. Morocco, I have no idea. I know one of you is in Morocco. I have no idea. Figure out. Sorry. All right. So this is about membership, and again, you got my recommendation, strong recommendation on becoming PMI member. Your exam is going to be 180 questions. Now, the next few minutes are important to understand the type of exam questions. They have changed that also. In the past, all the questions were one question and 4 answers, and you pick one. It's called objective questions. In British English, it's called as objective questions, or whatever. Objective questions, multiple choice. No longer are all the 180 questions multiple choice. You don't have to write anything, even for the new exam. No, let me take a step back. They fill in the blanks. Again, you have 180. Okay, you know what? Let me break it down step by step. You have 180 questions. So far, so good. These questions, you'll have 230 minutes to do the questions. Okay, so that's roughly 3 hours and 50 minutes. And you have 2 10-minute breaks. And what I learned is that you get your break because you're doing the exam in a system, it's a PMI system, Pearson VUE system, it's an app. And whenever you reach question number 60, automatically you get a pop-up. Do you want to review the questions? Now, this is an important question to answer. You always want to say yes, because that gives you a chance to go back and review the first 60 questions. Because if you say no, then your first 60 answers are locked. Now, this is important to understand. If you lock your answers now, then you cannot go and edit the answers. So always, when you reach question number 60, you get the first pop-up to review the questions. Always say yes. Now, as you start your exam, you might find 1 or 2 questions which are slightly tricky, doubtful. You're not 100% certain about the answer. You can flag those questions. So maybe for the first 60 questions, maybe you flagged 4 questions. So this pop-up will allow you to go back to those 4 questions, finalize your answers, and then you can continue. And then your first 60 questions are locked. And then you can go for the first break. That's the first 10-minute break. Going on the break is optional, but locking your questions is part of the exam. My suggestion, go on a break. It's going to give you free 10 minutes, right? So go out, put water, I'm sure 60 questions will take some amount of toll on your brain. You'll start to feel slightly tired. You'll feel more tired towards the end, but go on a break, eat something, grab something to drink. Anyway, your questions are locked, so you can come back in 10 minutes and start fresh. Then you start from question number 61 to 120. When you reach question number 120, that's the time you get another pop-up to say, do you want to review question number 61 to 120? You again want to say yes, because you might have flagged 1 or 2 questions which you're again not certain about. So that gives you a chance to go back to those 2, 3, 4 questions, review them, lock or finalize your answers, and then submit, or complete your 120 questions which is the second part of the exam. Submit that. That is going to be frozen. Now you have the option to go for one more break. Again, go for that second break also. And
Yes,
and
Mr. Salah, Mr. Salah, how are you?
good.
Mr.
Go ahead. Yes.
I would like to ask you how many questions I need to answer correctly to pass out of the 180.
No, that's, yeah, that's a good question, isn't? Now, officially, PMR doesn't tell you the percentage. Officially, no. But for us, our safe number is anywhere from 75 to 80%. To pass the PMP exam, you should score in your practice somewhere around 80%. If you're slightly less than 80%, you can still go for the exam and still pass. But if you're anywhere less than 75%, you should not go for the exam. It means your preparation has requiring some more attention. And how do you know this? By doing practice exams. So you must do a bunch of practice exams. Again, all of this is going to unfold in due time. By the time you finish with the training, by the time you read the student manual on your own, you have a very good clarity of the whole exam content. Right now, there are not too many sample exams for the new exam format. But very soon there will be, because the new exam, which takes us to the next bullet point. So Yazan, that's the answer to your question. I hope you got your answer.
Yes, thank you.
Your new exam is no longer only multiple choice questions. It's a combination of what? Multiple choice. I told you about multiple choice. One question, 4 answers. This is multiple choice. Some of you know this as objective type questions. Some of you, British English. Some answer, now in multiple choice, you have to pick only one answer. In multiple choice, you have to pick only one answer. Some questions have 2 right answers, you have to pick both of them. This is multiple response. So if you don't do, maybe they'll give you 5 answers and say, pick the 2 of them which are whatever, applicable to planning. So you have to pick 2 answers which are applicable to planning. If you pick only one, you don't get the full mark. Maybe 0, I don't know. The whole system is new. So I'm going to give you the worst case scenario. If you pick only one of them and you correctly pick the second of that, only then you get the full mark for sure. If you pick one right, one wrong, honestly, like I told you, this is another reason why I love PMI. It's not still clear to me. What will happen if I do one right, one wrong? In due time, I will know better and probably I'll share better. But right now, let's take the worst case scenario. For you to get the full mark in this multiple response, if 2 answers are required, you will get the full mark only if you pick the 2 of them properly. All right? I don't think there's partial scoring. I don't think so. Some of the questions are matching. I have some example prototypes I'll share you in a minute. Some of them are called as hotspot. They'll give you a graph or some table and you have to select a cell or select a portion of the graph. I'll show it to you. This is called hotspot. And then of course you have the traditional fill in the blanks, so you have fill in the blanks, okay? Now there is no negative marking, so never skip a question. Psychometric marking means you don't have difficult questions carry more score. Easy questions carry less score. Okay. So that's your psychometric. Now let's look at some of the examples. Now this is your, which one? This is your drag and drop match. There's a matching type, right? This matching, see this matching here? This is an example of matching type. You have 5 answers. You have to drag from the blue into the yellow boxes, matching with the orange. So your answer is requiring to drag 4 of them to the yellow boxes from the left. This is your drag and drop questions. Was there a question here? I heard some commotion. Okay. So, this is your traditional drag and drop. Obviously, the answers are more than that you need. So you need to be precise. One of them you leave out because you have only 4 options here. Okay. So far, so good with the drag and drop or matching.
Yeah.
Then you have, remember those hotspot questions? They'll ask you some question. In this case, they're asking you, click the area where the cost will increase the most. And these are all clickable. You can click A, B, C, or D. So if you quickly analyze the graph, from beginning to the A is 10% of the project. Between A and B is 20%. Between B and C is 30%. Between C and D is 20%. And between D and the end of the project is 20%. So click on the area where the cost will increase the most. So obviously you'll click on B. That's where the 30% increase. Okay. So that's your example of hotspot. You can actually click. These are answers. A, B, C, and D are the options, the answers. So you click and you select an answer which is called as a hotspot. Another example of the hotspot question, they'll give you an Excel table like this. It's like selectable, not selectable, clickable. And they'll give you a scenario. And whatever is the scenario, I think in this question, they will give you a scenario. We don't know the scenario, but the question is based on the risk register, which is going to be part of the scenario, which entry, which row should the project manager edit? So you'll click on one of the rows. Oops, you'll click on one of the rows, and that is your entry to the answer. This is another type of hotspot. Hotspot means table or you have a graph and you have to click on the right place in the graph or the right place in the Excel sheet. Hotspot, one spot you have to click. You get the idea? So this is your hotspot. And these are the traditional multiple choice questions, like multiple choice. One question, 4 answers, only one has to be selected. So it's a combination of all these questions that you have. And in summary, your exam is now a combination of multiple choice, multiple response, matching, hotspot, pick one, click somewhere in the graph or the table or something like this, and fill in the blanks. Good luck. So they've made it slightly more challenging. No, I wouldn't say difficult. So there's a difference between difficulty and challenge level. The difficulty is more or less the similar difficulty, but they made it more nuances on you by making these different types. Because in the past, you never had to worry about more than one answer. Now you have to worry about 2 answers and all that. In the past, you don't have to worry about filling the blanks. Now you have to worry about filling the blanks. So, a different 1 notch high, maybe 1 notch more in difficulty, maybe.
Thank God I got certified. I mean, it was confusing enough knowing that, okay, there's one answer, because you'll think that there are multiple correct answers and you need to choose one. So that was like a comfort. Okay, I need to choose one of these. So one of them is correct. So one of them is the best choice. But now it's like more confusing because you need to choose 2.
Yes. So therefore, therefore it's important for you that as you approach your exam preparation, you have that clarity of thought, clarity of concepts, and this mapping between all these elements. So I'll not show it to you right now again, but remember that we talked about topics. So there is a hierarchy, right? So it's very important for you to understand each topic, which means you have to understand the enablers in that topic, and you need to position all of that, especially the enablers and the topic, into the domains and into the process groups. So, throughout your preparation, this is your navigation map. This one slide is your navigation map to your exam preparation. Whatever you are learning for your exam, you must be able to plot it across this slide, through your topics, through your enablers, knowing which lesson it is from, knowing what domain are we even talking about in this topic, so on and so forth. And this is how you better prepare for the exam. And this is what it is now, your exam preparation. And then you have to do enough practice with all these, hotspot and the multiple choice type of questions and this drag and drop. Unfortunately, because this whole thing is brand new, starting January now, this month, most of the free and good exam questions are all around multiple choice. All the available good resources are only based on this type of questions. Very soon, by the time you finish your training, and hopefully very soon, there will be more than one free exam that where you can practice your hotspot and drag and drop and fill in the blank type of questions. So, you know, you'll hopefully in time have more material. And as I have more links that I can share with you, which is freely distributable, I will distribute them to you guys. And in all cases, ping Sammy if you want to know more information. I mean, like 1 month from now, if you need, you know, if you want to follow up, ping me or Sammy. If we have more resources to share with you, we will do that. Probably, Sammy, this can be one of our blogs on the website. And maybe each month we can add to that blog all the resources that we have available now. Our first blog can be explanation of all of these, and following that, you know, the practice questions for each of the type. So we're getting there, guys. We are with you on this, meaning that even us as trainers, we don't have question bank which are from PMI, which are, you know, allowing you to practice hotspot questions, drag and drop. There's nothing provided from PMI yet. And another reason for me to rant at PMI. You know, that's why I said I love PMI more than ever. So, but this is in summary what your exam is going to be about. It's good for you to know what it is going to be about so that you can better prepare for it. Okay. All right. Any questions before I move on? How are we doing with the time? Okay, so we still have about 1 hour. I think we're doing good. There used to be, now let me put a disclaimer. There used to be 25 practice questions, pre-test questions in the previous exam, but I'm going to show you what I read. See here, okay. See here, they said that this is from PMI website. 180 questions is for you, and the previous exam was 200 questions. Okay, this is a fact. Now in the previous exam, there were 25 pre-test questions. What is the pre-test questions? Those are the questions which are unscored, and PMI does that to ensure quality management, especially for the new type of questions. But PMI on the website is saying that the same number of questions will be scored, which was 175. Now, if you're with me so far, it means your exam is still only going to be scored for 175 questions. If I read this sentence and decode that sentence, it means in the past, there were 25 pre-test questions and you only have 5 pre-test questions. Sammy, this is my decoding of that sentence.
Sorry to disturb you.
You know, you're not actually. I know you have so many questions. That's why we have this introduction.
No, actually, I have one urgent meeting around after 10 minutes. So can I leave this class? Means like I will contact with, I had got all the contact detail and all that thing. So is it okay for you?
I'm okay with it. As long as you finish the video by watching it later, I'm fine with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so sorry for that.
No issues. We'll be wrapping up soon. Maybe in about 30 minutes we'll wrap up anyway.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for joining, Atul.
Yeah.
So, you know, now you know that up to 5 questions will be unscored. For now, just leave it to that. Throughout the training, you know, we can come back and discuss more of this. But the thing is, they'll be randomly placed. For now, just go with the fact that you still have 180 questions to answer. Okay, but now you know that there will be up to 5 questions which are pre-test. Okay. Again, you know, we're kind of converging to this one big question: how do you prepare for the exam? And now the next few minutes, maybe 10-15 minutes, this is the last segment. How do you prepare for the exam? You will prepare for the exam first by steps. Step number 1, you have to do the official training, you know, the 35 contact hours. That's going to help you, you know, navigate and guide through the whole material. I'll be the instructor for the training with Watershed. So, you know, I'll be there with you. Then beyond that, I have one more slide I can show you. Beyond that, let me show you this slide. then I'll come back to the other slides. So step 1, you will do the 35 hours of training. Then phase 2 is you completing these 4 steps, because this is you on your own. Of course, we'll be with you as a support, in the background, because you'll have done your training by that time. When you finish your training, you know that you'll have to read the student manual. You will get the soft copy of the student manual when you do the training. It's about 300 pages. You got to read them twice, that student manual. If PMBOK 7 is released, you can read that. I wouldn't suggest you to go and read PMBOK 6. Remember that the twist cube, you'll be twisted, I don't know, quadruple times if you go back and read PMBOK 6. My suggestion, don't read PMBOK 6. If PMBOK 7 is not available, your best resource is the student manual, which you get by doing the training. So let's say that your student manual, you're going to read that once, and you will start, there are activities in the student manual, and we will do all those activities, some of them as part of the training program. And because of the lack of time, I will give some of them as assignment, as homework. You got to do them offline. So that's all part of your step 1. Because as you progress with the training, you can in parallel start your reading on your own. You get the idea? So let's say you finish 2 weeks of training with me. It means I've covered 2 weeks of material in the book, and you can start reading your student manual. So you'll catch up from page number 1 up to the, reading it once is not going to be enough. Now, when I say read, I'm saying understand. So when you do that, you got to do it very carefully, meaning that it's going to be a very careful read, because you're trying to understand. So you'll have to do that twice. And when you do that, hopefully by then, we're looking for you to reach to this step number 2. We're looking at minimum 2 months from now. And by the time, you'll hopefully have more practice exams. We'll share with you the resources that we have right now. But in 2 months, I'm hoping to get more resources to share with you, which will act as practice questions, mock exams, practice exams, and all of that. And in those exams, remember, as an answer to one of the questions, you should target to get 80%. And if you're getting anything less than 75%, it means you need to go back to your student manual and read that again. So as you can see, right now, everything is revolving around 3 things. One is your training. Second is your student manual. And the third thing is doing your practice exams. Okay. And just to iterate it one more time, we are with you until you pass your exam. Whether you do the training with us or not, you are here, it means we are with you. So never hesitate to ping us, questions, doubts, even while you're preparing. We are with you until you pass the exam. Okay? So this is the summary of your whole journey. As you can imagine, it's going to be a little bit tedious, somewhat time consuming, but it is not rocket science. It is not. Just that you have to have the clarity of thought, clarity of concepts. And as you build upon it, sooner or later, you'll realize that you're ready for the exam, And so I went through a few steps to show you that. So we were somewhere here. So as you can see, we're in the last segment. So I'm trying to, show you all the different perspectives. So now you're clear with the exam questions, the duration, the 2 breaks. Now you know the 2 breaks. Now you know that your exam is combination of all this type of questions. The good thing is no negative marking. So even if you go wrong, there's no negative marking. Like in some of the management exams, you don't have negative marking. So never skip a question. You understand the steps I showed you, and you now understand the resources you have. One is the training. The second is the student manual. And the third thing is sooner or later, we will help you get, more practice questions. You don't need them today. So don't worry about it. When you need them, we will provide you whatever is available at that time, maybe more than what we have today. I think you understand you'll have many situational questions. So the way they're making the exam half agile is they can ask the same scenario either from a waterfall type of a background or from an agile type of a background. In effect, it won't change much your perspective in the way that you will answer, but you will have many situational questions. And the classic situational question will be, what is the next best thing to do? They're a classic question. You know, I don't know, 30, 40 questions will be just one question. You know, they'll have a scenario and one question. What is the next best thing to do? You know, so this is how you prepare yourself. Understanding is important. Therefore, careful reading of student manual is very important. Okay, so keep that in mind. You know, your exam question, the three level of, you know, difficulty in your exam questions. Your most easiest questions are going to be straightforward, information based. You know, what is this, what is that, information type of questions. Some questions are basically knowledge based questions, you know, maybe around processes and all of that, little bit of knowledge and understanding of PMP book and the student manual. Let me just say student manual for now. That's your core of how you prepare for the exam. Then the third level of complexity is those scenarios. Those scenarios are application of knowledge. Okay, so these are the, consider them as the level of complexity. Most difficult questions will be where you have scenarios, because you have to be thorough and clear with what the student manual is about. Okay, and you know, I think you understand this. So just to recap the whole journey for you, you have to go and fill your PMP application. That application, once it is completed, is valid in the system for 12 months. And you can take your exam anytime in the 12 months. And that's when you need to pay the exam fees just before you book your exam. And, you know, here or here, wherever you choose. Then I told you to become PMI members. That itself is valid only for 12 months. So you might realize that, you know, you may lose some time frame, which is fine. You may have an overlap. Make sure that you pay the exam fees before your PMI membership expires to take benefit of the discount. And you know, in this example, you have a good 10 months. You don't have to wait for 10 months. You know, ideally, if you have made up your mind, first things first, sign up for a training program. Start with your training program first. That's the very first thing you must do. And Sammy can help you with enrollments. And as you start with that, that will put in commotion, in you know, everything will fall in place. And this one diagram brings into perspective your application, your membership, your exam, the durations for each. Your exam, once your application is accepted by PMI, it's valid for 12 months, you know, and within those 12 months, you should take your exam. And that is more or less, I think, all the things, because I kind of showed you this slide. Just to recap, after you do your training, you'll do a careful read of the student manual twice. And hopefully by that time, we'll have more and more resources with the exam practice questions. What you will have right away, you'll have activities from the student manual that you must do. Is going to be part of the training. Not all of them, because we don't have enough time. I've seen that in the first session, I couldn't do all of the activities. You know, hey, you're there to learn. Activities you certainly can do offline. And again, if you have any questions or doubts on the activities, you know, you can ask in the next class. You should target to get around 80% in a practice exam, and you should get hold of 4 to 5 mock exams. We will do our best to give them to you. You know, by our, you know, there are so many good resources which are freely available on the website. Not for the new exam yet, but as we have more of them, we'll share with you more of them. And your, you know, measure of readiness is to know that you're getting around 75 to 80% and more, then go for your exam. And nothing is rocket science. Follow these structured approach. It's a more methodical approach. If you apply this, this whole journey, excluding your training, will require you to spend somewhere 100 to 125 hours, give or take. And that's all that's required for you to be, ready for the PMP exam. So I've tried to sugarcoat as less as I can because I think it's more important for you to know the ground reality so that you know what you're going to be facing. But the good news, always there's a good news. It's not rocket science. As long as you're methodical, somewhat structured, then you will pass the exam. So that's in summary, as much as I can, scare you. but the journey is a little bit twists and turns, but again, it's only twists and turns, which you can navigate through, over time, relatively easy. Okay, and we are here with you. So there you go. That's what it is. And that's the end of what I wanted to present to you. Let me keep maybe this slide open and open the floor for any of the questions that you have in your mind that I can answer.
I have some questions. First, I want to ask about these timings for the exam that you say that after 60 questions, you have 10 minutes break and after 120 again. This is also applicable even if it's in the exam center or at the house.
Yes, both exam center and the house. Why? Because even if you go to the exam center, I was trying to find the flow chart. Even if you go to the exam center, at question number 60, you get the pop-up. You get the pop-up asking you, do you want to review question number 1 to 60? And you must say yes, so that you get a chance to review. And when you complete the review, your 60 questions are locked. Then whether you're taking an exam from home or whether you're in a test center, you can go out for the break and come back in.
If you are giving the exam from the house, how can they verify who is who? I mean,
so what happens is for your exam, they will assign somebody called as an invigilator. Actually, they call him or her the proctor. You will have a proctor, an actual person who will monitor you. So you know what? This is one thing I didn't mention. So good question. That reminds me to tell you. For your exam, in summary, especially when you're taking it from home, how does it work? You need a laptop with a microphone and a camera. You cannot take the exam if you don't have a camera on your laptop, because Sammy's laptop does not have a camera. So he has to buy an external camera. So if your laptop doesn't have a camera, you have to buy an external camera. Most of the laptops have a camera. I don't know why Sammy's camera doesn't have a camera. He paid 6,000 reals for a laptop with no camera.
Yeah. By the way, my laptop costs like $2,000.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a camera.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure. Let me do this. Let me finish this and then I'll take a question. So you need a camera and a microphone. Your camera and your microphone must be on for the whole session. They will ask you to take pictures of your desk from your mobile phone. They'll send you an email with the link. If you click on that link, it will open some portal. And on that portal, you can take pictures and upload from your phone, for example. After you upload the pictures from the phone, they will ask you to keep the phone more than 1 hand distance so that you cannot access the phone again. Then this proctor guy, he or she will check the photos that you sent. In some cases, they'll ask you to turn the camera around and show the desk and the room. Then they will clear you for the exam, and now you're on the start line. And then the proctor will push some big button and your exam will start. And throughout the exam, you are being monitored through your camera, and your sound from the microphone is going to be continuously recorded. Which reminds me to tell you, if you have children in the background, I've had inputs where the proctor came and said, without much apology, your exam has to be canceled. So you have to ensure there is no background noise.
And one last thing, regarding the training, now due to COVID, how are the lessons are being done?
Like we do right now. roughly
online.
Online. Actually, technically, this is first session of the training, technically.
Okay,
So we'll have the remaining sessions as we do now.
I understand. That's all from me. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, Gunya, sorry, sorry I had to stop you from asking a question, but I just wanted to finish that whole discussion. Please, you can ask a question now.
Yes, no, it was not a question. Actually, it was just a contribution. They will ask you to take photo 360 with the your camcorder, your camera on the computer.
Yeah.
You practically lift your computer and turn it around, left, right, back, and front, and on the table. Once you do that, you must not go away from the camera. And then you do the telephone thing, the telephone, the photos of your ID. Once it's confirmed, everything is confirmed, you have to be on the camera. I was speaking, I actually was speaking, reading like registration and online payment, registration with this. And she came to me and said, you are not supposed to speak, quiet.
Okay.
Don't say anything, just read quietly. And so she was monitoring. And yes, now what you said is correct. I took the exam in my room and I did all the processes. And I was fixed to the camera until the 60 minutes. Then I got the yes. I was allowed back. When I came back, I started appearing on the camera. They did not ask me to take the camera around the room again. They trusted me, I think. And then I went on. I took one break only.
Okay. So thank you for sharing your experience. This is how it is.
I also wanted to say Watershed does not just go with you until you pass your exam. They even go with you after your exam. I passed my exam first time after Watershed, and I'm still here, and I'm still getting messages from Watershed, and I'm still communicating with Watershed.
Thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you. So this is.
May I have the last screen that the PDU code?
Yes, would you like that? Yeah. You can claim this actually as PDUs. Oops. So this is there you go. This is the PDU code. Now, this is not this is applicable to claim as PDUs. So there you go. And let me see if I can share this. And let me see if I can share this.
I don't know if we discussed it or not, Mr. Salah, but Dalia is asking about the Rita book, the 9th edition.
Well, there's a Rita 10th edition, by the way. I have Rita's 10th edition, and I'm not happy with the book yet. Let me say that, because I've looked through the book. I'm not happy with the book. Why? Because by the way, Dalia, the 9th edition is no longer needed. You need the 10th edition of Rita's book. It's already published. I have it with me now. And when I opened the book, I was expecting to find the book organized around the domains, but they have still organized the book around the process groups. Not even the process groups, the outdated knowledge areas. That was what disappointed me about Rita. Well, not Rita, but Rita's book. She died, I don't know, 10 years ago. So may her rest in peace, but her company had disappointed me. So yeah, but in relation to your question, if you really need to read Rita, get hold of version 10. And my experience with the book, I'm not happy with the book, because no longer is your exam based on knowledge areas, and Rita's 10th edition is still around knowledge areas, and I didn't like it.
I got the Rita one.
Oh, no, you have which one? You have 9th, huh?
Yeah, this is the 9th edition. The 9th edition was really good. I studied when I was doing the PMP. I studied from Rita. It was really, really good.
I have the 10th.
It's not a competition.
It is a competition, man. Everything is a competition, because I have to find ways to throw you on the bus.
The one I have is 9th edition, not 10th edition. Sorry, it's 9th edition.
Yeah, the 9 is outdated, I believe.
On a
It's
10th
not-
edition, I don't have. I have only 9th edition. That's why I'm asking. Thank you so much.
Basically, they just changed the cover, if you ask me.
Yeah. Mr. Salah, is the Head First 5th edition out yet?
No, Head First is the slowest. They came out with the Head First 4th edition almost more than a year after, you know, the exam, you know, the PIM book 6 was out. More than a year.
Actually, when I was doing the PMP, I was like Rita person through and through. But after I got PMP certified, and Mr. Salah, I borrowed the Head First from you in order to prepare for the CAPM. I started reading the Head First, and I think that I'm a Head First person now.
Yeah. By the way, just for you to know, there are 2 books that you can read in addition to the student manual. One of them, as you know, many of you know, as Rita's book. Another book is called as Head First. Do I have one handy? I have the old one handy.
I have it. Wait a minute.
So the current Head First is 4th edition. This is what Sam is sharing now. So you can read in addition to, so let me show them this slide. In addition to reading Rita or Head First, in addition to reading the student manual, you can read Rita or Head First, any one of them. But again, you don't have an option to read for Head First. They haven't published the book. They haven't even said when they will do it. So your best option in addition to student manual is Rita's 10th edition. In my opinion, if you really want to read Rita, don't. For now, focus on student manual. Student manual itself is 300 pages.
Yeah, I think it's better that Head First is taking their time with the book, because the Rita one really feels like it was rushed.
It was the whole PMI stuff is
yeah.
rushed. So you know, like the way they've done the student manual is not as you might expect from PMI. It still has gaps, which I can spot as a trainer. Again, like I said, this is all my problem with PMI. And in my training, I try to find answers to my problems with PMI and give you those answers so that, you know, you don't, it's easier for you. Your journey is easier for you. So, you know, this is the, because I've done, I've already done one full batch with the new material in November. So I started in November, finished in December. So at least I have this one cycle of the whole new material. So along the way, there are a lot of things that I had to, you know, search for the benefit of the class and find answers to. So that have given me a chance, you know, to be able to ask the right questions for myself, so that those answers I can share with you. Again, like I said, it's a journey. We are on this journey together. And for now, the best resource you have is the student manual, in my opinion.
The student manual feels like if you threw the 6th edition into a blender.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And then you just like started.
So that's why. See now, why must you think, you know, we are mentioning this to you over and over again? Is because these are the gaps. If you want to go for the exam, these are the gaps that you should be able to fill. And because we see all these gaps, we have made an effort to fill them up for you. And hopefully by the time you finish with the training, you wouldn't even realize that there were gaps to begin with. So I think this is the whole idea of why it's important for you to know what is available, what are the issue with what's available, what is required for the exam, how do you prepare for the exam, and how do you make sure you pass the exam? Because the end goal is for you to pass the exam. Okay? And you'll get there. You'll get there in about 2-3 months. You'll get there. So I think keep this number in your mind, this 100 to 125 hours. This is, you would have to spend these number of hours on your own. And in those hours, you're going to follow these 4 steps. You know? So there you go. Yeah.
I have a question on the timing. So if you take the preparation course, you have the new material information to do the preparatory course?
Oh yeah, good question. Sammy, I never mentioned the slides. Good question, Susan, because you're asking a question for which I should have probably covered. And now, with this whole new material and the Blender problem, PMI has taken the student manual and converted them to slides. So what they have done, which for me is another issue, is they've prepared 800 slides, which is like the top half of the page is one slide, and the bottom half of the page is slide number 2. So you have 300 pages, roughly 800 slides. So can you imagine, Susan? So you see, so they have all of this material published, but I'm not going to be following the structure exactly from that slide, because we might end up looking at any given topic and the enablers in the topic. But my constant discussions during the whole course is for you to take this up in the hierarchy, because the better you're able to take this up in the hierarchy, and the better you have the clarity of going up and coming down, up and down the hierarchy, the more you're able to do that freely and smoothly and effortlessly, more you're getting prepared for the exam. So your barometer, not barometer, your litmus test for exam preparation and readiness is for you to say, if I'm looking at this topic, do I understand all the enablers? Am I able to put it together in my head? Can I take this topic that I'm looking at and map it up in the hierarchy? So as you go above the topic in the hierarchy, the topic is your peg. You should be able to go down, especially the enablers. Be clear with that. Again, what is enabler? Enablers is everything we have to do to fulfill that topic. The multiple of them. As an example, building a team from the exam preparation point of view will mean that you need to understand 4 enablers. And these are the 4 enablers. You need to understand what is appraisal about and how is it going to help me build the team. You need to understand, how do I even gather the training requirements of the team? There are steps to that. And then, as part of building the team, you need to then understand that you have to continuously assess the team performance. And your exam questions will be revolving around that. So very quickly, to frame a question, they might tell you that the project, or they might tell you one of the team member performance has noticeably gone down. Now, that more or less is the question revolving around this one enabler, whatever scenario they build for the question. And then as you understand the methodology behind it, the thought process behind it, that will help you answer the questions. So your whole exam preparation is to really, really, really understand every enabler for each topic. This is the shortest key to unlock your exam preparation. Let me say that again. Your exam preparation is you being able to understand every enabler which is associated with every topic. This is the formula. And of course, you have so many topics. These are all the topics. I never counted them. They look to be like around 30 topics. Each topic has 4 or 5 enablers. That's your exam preparation. Did I make sense?
No.
And this is where I put my effort in doing this mapping, because like Sammy said, it's a blender approach. That student manual is a blender. Trust me, there is no sequence between topics. They will talk to you about building a team, which is standalone. Then they jump to another topic, which is from somewhere else in the project. Then they come back to another part of the project. That's my effort with you to put this whole, remember, they took the student manual, 300 pages, top half one slide, bottom half another slide. Where is the flow? There's no flow. So you need to develop that flow. My effort with you is to make sure you're able to have that flow, because that flow is the clarity of thought, or that flow helps you gain clarity of thought.
I remember reading the student manual, and while I was team development. I was reading about team development and the whole thing, and then suddenly they started talking about stakeholders, defining stakeholders, and
There is no
what?
exactly.
I was like, oh, what are we done with the team development? Is it done, or the rate of, I mean, because I was already PMP and I studied the old syllabus. Okay, when we're talking about the topic, you finish it and then you go to the next step, which is like a logical sequence. Okay, I finished the project charter. Now I need to define stakeholders. So that's like a logical. Okay, you finished this, you got the approvals. You go to the next step. After that, you go to the next step, which is makes sense. But in this book, when you go to the next thing, you feel like, oh, okay, this is the important thing, but where is the order here?
So yeah, just to sum up, we help you deep blend.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Musab.
Yeah, most probably you have missed the important things. How much cost of your training if I want to take the training from Watershed in USD, please?
Sammy, for you.
Should I share the information here? Do you want me to share it here?
So yeah, Sammy, all yours.
Yeah. Okay. So there, I'm just gonna quickly tell you the two options you have. And we can talk in details like privately if you'd like after the session. So we offer two options, either the soft copy or the digital copy option, or the hard copy options. So the first one, the digital copy, you'll get the training, you get the support that Watershed will give to all its students. But the only difference is you get the digital copy of the student manual and not the hard copy. The other option is the hard copy option. You'll get the training, the support and everything. But in addition to the digital copy, you'll get the hard copy. We'll order the hard copy for you. Now, yeah, what? I'm sorry?
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. I think next time we're going to, yeah, go ahead. I think you continue. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for the first, the digital option, it's I believe it's 1,600 riyals. That is, I'm just gonna check really quick how much that in dollars, because I know that there are people here who are not from Qatar.
Yeah, I'm just sharing the screen on your behalf, Sammy. Oh
yeah, that's great. Yeah. So that's like $440. That's the soft copy option. You'll get we'll give you the soft key, and you can go and redeem it and get your student manual. Also, there's the other option, the hard copy. It's like 490, I believe, 495. We'll order the hard copy for you. And there's one good thing. If you don't want to contact me, there is the option of going to our website and just registering directly. It's the same thing. If you feel like you need some clarifications or you need to talk to me about something, then you can contact me on my contact info. Any way is good.
And the good thing is you can, if you choose to do so, you can register yourself online. Just click on pay. I think that should start your shopping cart. So
yeah. As Mr. Salah is sharing, just go pay and then you go to the shopping cart. You'll just like a normal online payment process. I hope that answers your question.
Are you guys clear with the difference between the two options, the 440 and the 495?
Yeah. Did I just ramble? Did I just ramble? And
because basically, they're the same package, but in 440 you get the default student manual, and in 495 package you get the hard copy of the student manual. Yeah, by the way, can you print your own student manual? Yes.
I have
Mr.
a question.
and Mr. Sami, I would like to thank you both and for the course. It is very interesting, to be honest. Until now, I didn't feel with the time. I just have small question regarding the course or the training time from 6 to 9. Okay, I would like to know, this is a strict time, or we can push it half an hour if all the team member they agreed. For me, 6 to 9 is okay, but as you know, we go home at 5 as engineers, or 5:30. So I need to be in a hurry. So can we push it half an hour, or it is a strict time? This is my
No, it's
question.
not strict. So like you said, it's, the second part of what you said, if, we can start, maybe we can start the first day at 6 o'clock maybe, and then we can do a poll in the class if majority of them is okay with 6, half an hour. You're talking about half an hour late, right? Or half an hour early?
Half an hour.
Early or late? 5:30 or 6:30?
6:30. I prefer
If
6:30.
everybody agrees to 6:30, we can do 6:30 to 9:30. So it's not strict. It's us who can decide. And once the training starts, if many people are okay with 6:30, usually people are okay with delaying it, usually. And making it early sometimes is a challenge, but delaying it, statistically is more easy. So more than likely, almost everybody will agree to delaying it by half an hour. So that's the answer to the question. It's not strict, but it will have to depend on because some people might have signed up with 6 to 9 in their mind. So you might have just ask them if they're okay to shift, and usually they are.
If someone disagree, it is okay with me. I'm just suggesting.
Yeah. So again, we'll make it like a poll, and we'll say, maybe 3/4 majority, something like this. We'll find some.
I think it happened before. So I think that there was a batch who agreed to start like half an hour.
Perfect.
Our batch agreed. Actually, we agreed.
Oh, that's your batch. Okay.
Yeah. So yes, it was our batch. We changed. I think we changed over the period. We changed it twice, I think, because people were saying, I'm like this, and but we never agreed very much to postpone, to increase more. People still want to finish at 9, and they say, no, let's finish at 9. Oh, but we are several days we agreed and said, no, let's continue another 30 minutes, because sometimes it would be so interesting, you don't want to break the tempo, especially when you're doing practice. So yeah, it was very, very flexible. And it's only 9 months ago, I think, nine or so months ago.
Yes, every
5 months ago.
Once we have this. Don't worry. So I think you get your answer, Yazan.
Yeah. Muhammad is asking if we have a center in UAE. Unfortunately, we don't. Up until now, we have centers in Qatar, Egypt. We're planning to start one in Canada soon, inshallah.
But is he asking about the exam center or our center?
No, the Watershed Center, I believe.
No, Watershed doesn't have to be. We can be anywhere as long as we are registered with PMI.
Yeah.
And we are registered with PMI. That's the most important thing for you. And like Sami said, we are physically in Qatar and UAE, Qatar and Egypt, not in UAE. But because our training is all 100% online, our physical location, for that matter, doesn't apply. Our training is online.
I think after the COVID-19 pandemic, that became the norm.
Yeah, actually, even after COVID, because now unfortunately this new virus, the new mutant of the virus, so we don't know when this whole thing will be under the rug. We don't know. So having said that, this is the new norm online, and we will maybe continue this for a very long time. So I think I answered your question from both the perspectives. One thing, the most important thing for you is our partnership, our approval with PMI, which we have, and since our classes are online, you're good to go. Did that answer you? Who was that, Muhammad? I just want to make sure that I answered the complete question.
Muhammad Hamdan.
Did he get the answer he was looking for? Did he get the answer to the question completely, or no? Can you check?
I'll wait for him to speak up or to send me a message.
All right.
I think he's with us. I think he's here.
Okay, great. We still have the floor open for any remaining questions. Feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you very much.
Training or during weekend? No. So we have two courses in January. The weekends and the weekdays. So the weekdays are Saturday, Monday, and Wednesday from 6 till 9. That's the first course. The second course is the weekends batch. That's Fridays from 1:30 till 7 Doha time, or GMT +3. So that's the two options. So there is a course during the weekend, only Fridays. If you'd like to register for that, you can contact me.
By the way, we haven't started the Friday batch yet. We have done the introduction session on 8th, but we didn't start the batch because we didn't have enough enrollments. So this batch is still open. We still have to update the website. You know, this particular batch is not started. What we're doing now is today's batch. Sammy, what probably will announce to you just within today or tomorrow whether we will continue with this batch, or meaning that whether we'll consider today as the kick off of the new batch, or we'll have to postpone it by a week.
Now, Mr. Salah, for the 16th of January, I think we already have enough. I think so. Yeah. So, I think we can kick it off.
Okay, so we'll have the next class. This Saturday, Monday. But then,
Monday.
So all of you who are planning to join, then should get in touch with Sammy soon, because our next session will be on Monday, same time.
How many people are participating on the online training? I mean, for each batch, how many students?
Yeah, so it actually varies between our minimum to start a batch is 8 students. So in order to kick off a batch, we'll have 8 participants, and the maximum, I believe, is about like 20. So it varies really between, I mean, the weekend batch and whether it's like and depending on the month and how people are busy or not. So yeah, you can expect the participants to be between 8 and 20 students.
Thank you.
Today we got like 60 people in the session.
Yeah.
That was.
I think some of them still have to make up their mind, I believe.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. That's what it is. Now I think the whole idea of today's session was for you to be clear with so many things, and I hope we fulfill that objective. If there's something that comes in your mind and you want to ask us, you can always ping. And thank you once again for joining today's session. Thank you for giving me a chance to rant.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Everybody have a good night. And
same to you.
We'll meet you on Monday.
Thank you. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.